Racing. Hello, everybody. I'm Chris McClure, along with Derek Daly. Welcome to round 3 of the 1988 Household Finance ARS racing season. So far this year, the series has produced 2 winners. At Phoenix, it was the Canadian Paul Tracy. And back at Milwaukee, it was California native Dave Simpson. Those were 1-mile ovals, and now it's the transition to the road course. Derek Daly, in IndyCar racing and in ARS, the transition is normal, it's necessary, but it is demanding.
It is demanding because the oval tracks they've run on requires a completely different technique of driving and of car setup. Now they move to a more demanding situation with this road course here at Portland.
9 turns and 1.9 miles. Those are the magic numbers, I suppose, but it doesn't really describe, just by saying that, the challenge that Portland holds.
That's right. I would say Portland is a typical road race circuit in as far as it has a long driver's point of view and an engineer's point of view. You have to get the optimum from the car by maintaining straight line speed, but be fast through these long corners.
Of course, these are young racers. Some of them had their first oval experience with some kind of horsepower, in this case, just over 400 earlier this year. Some now trying the new horsepower on a road course. And, of course, exit speed is important, but you can't overpower it and lose it. You have to be careful with these.
You have to be careful. It's a delicate touch that's needed. These cars do have a lot of horsepower, but I think it's a super training ground for future IndyCar racers.
So, round 3 of the new season, 1988 HFC ARS racing is just ahead. We'll look at the grid and get the green flag in just a moment.
A bank's home equity credit line is often less than you need.
Good news, Mr. Moore.
Can we call you Les?
Call me Les.
We've approved your credit line, Les.
Oh, I need more.
There's no more, Les.
No more.
Is that true?
Yes, it is, Les.
More.
Les.
At Household Finance, you'll get more of your home's value, up to 15% more than many banks offer.
You know what they say, Les?
Yes.
Less is more.
Les.
Call for a better-than-a-bank home equity credit line and get more.
If you're like me, you want your engine to perform. You want it to run clean, and you don't want sludge. That's why you and I both need Quaker State with QSX. No other oil runs cleaner or fights sludge better. And the Quaker State I use in my car is the same oil you can buy right off the shelf for your car.
Quaker State. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will. Want to make your pulse race? Come see the Quaker State Porsche race in the Quaker State 500 at Pocono Raceway, Sunday, August 21st. Call 1-800-RACEWAY.
All right, down on pre-grid with me today is the Director of National Sales and Promotions from the Stroh Brewery Company, Chris Faust.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
With those famous words, 15 of the normally aspirated Buick engines come to life along the front straightaway at the Portland International Raceway. We're about to get this, the 3rd stop of the 1988 American Racing Series campaign underway. The first visit of these cars to the Pacific Northwest. On the pole, Tommy Byrne, his 4th career ARS pole, hoping to get his season going on the road courses. Juan Manuel Fangio is the 2nd grid position. His first ARS start this year, won Mid-Ohio last September. Jan Beekhuis on the inside of row number 2 from Salinas, California, his best qualifying position of this season. Outside, Calvin Fish out of Chicago, Illinois, off the ovals, 2nd at Phoenix, could be more comfortable on the road course. In row number 3 on the inside, the promising young driver from Denver, Colorado, Michael Snow. Big lift with a 2nd at Milwaukee last time out. On the outside, one of the hottest drivers around in ARS, Dave Simpson, a 4th and a 1st this year. He had 2 poles and a win at the end of 1987. On the inside of row number 4, Guido Dacco out of Italy, now living in Miami. His best ever qualifying position in ARS. Outside him, the hot shoe from Scarborough, Ontario, Paul Tracy, expected much better in qualifying than he got here. Inside row 5, Brian Angayas from Long Beach, California, looking for a 2nd straight top 5 finish. Outside of him, Jeff Andretti from Nazareth, Pennsylvania, trying to get the season on track. So far, very disappointing. In row number 6, Ted Prappas on the inside, coming off a 5th and a 6th on the ovals. He's competed here at Portland before. Outside of him, Paul Dallenbach from Basalt, Colorado. 2nd run in the series this year, trying to understand the horsepower and the 1-seater. In row number 7, Gary Rubio, St. James, New York, driving the chassis that Didier Tays won the championship with last year. On the outside of row 7, Giovanni Fontanazzi from Venezuela in his 3rd ARS race of this year, one event last year. And 15th on the grid, Steve Barkley from Orange, California, the best race at Milwaukee this year. They're coming around for the start on the front straightaway. Tommy Byrne on the right-hand side of the race course gets the green flag, and we're underway. And they're all looking for good position on the entry, first time through the chicane. Very tricky right there, as you can see the brake smoke, Derek Daly.
It was Guido Daco in the yellow car who locked up his brakes on the way into that first chicane. An all-important corner. Tommy Byrne got a nice little break. You see about 2 or 3 car lengths of a gap between himself and Fangio. So Byrne making the best of his pole position on this opening lap.
He pulls away from Fangio a little bit through the first 2 or 3 turns, working toward the backside of the race course. In the final practice, Fangio was the quickest, and we thought he might be able to maintain better contact than that with Tommy Byrne in the early going, at least from that practice indication.
That's right. This is, of course, very early in the opening lap. Fangio is, I was going to say new, not really new. He has raced these cars before, but this is very much a one-off effort for him. So I think he's going to be very careful and make sure that he warms everything up in this car first, because he really is only a guest driver in this Team Car International team for this race.
In the first 2 races of the year, Brad Murphy on the ovals handled that machinery. Fangio did win at Mid-Ohio on a very wet racetrack last September. He's familiar with this equipment, but not with this race course yet, although this weekend he's performing in 2 different series. He's a busy fellow.
He is a busy man here this weekend, but from a driver's point of view, it's very hard to get good opportunities sometimes, and I think he sees this weekend as a golden opportunity because he doesn't have the sponsorship necessary to have a full season's drive. But Brad Murphy has really made this available to him because of an accident that he himself had. The regular driver of this car had an accident at Riverside and did suffer a concussion, and it's really he is responsible for having Fangio in this car. So Fangio, I think, will be looking to show just how good he is, and maybe put a good deal together for the rest of the season.
HFC's Calvin Fish, number 8 there, and then a couple of the real hot shoes, a young driver in Michael Snow, the 21 car coming through just behind Calvin Fish, and the blue car, that of Paul Tracy, who's now improved himself by 2 positions from the start. He started in 8th, now up to 6th position as we get a look at the conclusion of lap number 2 on the front straightaway at Portland. So far, fairly static, other than the move forward a couple of spots by Paul Tracy, the blue car at the upper left of the screen. Down through the chicane once again. That's a very, very tricky piece of racetrack right there coming off that long straightaway, Derek.
That's right. It's a 3rd gear corner. Now, the reason they put this chicane in is to slow the cars down, entering just the specific piece of track that we see right now. They were too fast into a 3rd gear right-hand corner, so they put this chicane in to try and slow it down and make racing safer for the drivers and for the spectators.
Calvin Fish, who is trying to get the season a little bit better under control. He did take a 2nd at Phoenix, but finished 9th at Milwaukee. Very disappointing weekend for him there. He's a little bit better probably on the road courses. Those 2 first races of the year were his first looks at the ovals, and I think they threw him just a little bit, but now he's back on a little bit more familiar ground.
Well, that's right. Calvin's background is very much road racing from England. I've known him for a long time, been aware of him in his Formula 4 days in England, and really coming as a Formula Atlantic champion last year, he really is only used to road races. So I think he's done a good job on the ovals, and now we see, in fact, a pass made here by Mike Snow, a nice, very tidy pass into this chicane. So Calvin Fish is still settling down and has just lost position.
Nice move by Michael Snow off that straightaway, really not entering the chicane from the favored position, but he made the best use of the track he had available.
He did indeed. Nice little draft down that front straight past his pits, pulled out under braking, and made a nice clean move on Calvin Fish.
He hails from Denver, Colorado, does Snow. And the first race of the year at Phoenix, he only got the ride 2 days before, had a little open practice 3 days before the event, and then went on to try the oval and wasn't good in qualifying, wasn't effective in the race by any means. Between Phoenix and Milwaukee, he picked up a new chief mechanic in Mark Wida, who a lot of folks in IndyCar racing know and admire. And I'll tell you what, Wida came up with a piece of equipment for Milwaukee that allowed Snow to qualify 2nd and then finish 2nd in the race. That man behind the wall is all important.
That's right. I must say, Milwaukee was the first time I became aware of Mike Snow. He was on the pole. He was very, very impressive while he led that race. And he was almost a man who came from nowhere. But you're right, Mike Wida is obviously doing a very good job on this car. Now, the driver nowadays, racing is so technical, and the cars are so sophisticated, you really can no longer carry a car like you could in the old days. So a good engineer, a good mechanic is the reason why people like Mike Snow can come into a formula like this and almost be a star instantly.
Snow's running in 4th place, Calvin Fish in 5th, and Paul Tracy in the 6th position. The blue car at the left of your screen, another youngster. He hails from Scarborough, Ontario. Won at Phoenix when he was able to avoid that restart crash at the 5th lap that took out 5 cars with a very nice piece of driving. Later in the race, he had a spin in front of him that he drove around for that victory. Not so effective at Milwaukee, trying a typical Paul Tracy charge to the front when he tagged the wall in turn number 2, and his day was done. But someone to watch if he learns to drive more with his head than with his emotions, and many have felt that once that comes, he can be a very good star. Back in a moment.
It's every cowboy's worst nightmare. And when the worst is over, you head for the beer that goes down smooth as a mountain stream. Bush.
Does anybody want to start the campfire?
Head for the mountains of Bush beer.
If you want this kind of excitement every week, get Auto Week. If you want this kind of racing coverage every week, call Auto Week. 1-800-554-3000 and save. You'll get Auto Week at our special discount price. Just $17.25 for 52 issues. Only 33 cents a week. Save 25% off the basic rate. Call 1-800-554-3000. If you love cars, you'll love Auto Week.
Back at Portland International Raceway, this is the ARS Series, the 3rd stop of 1988. I'm Chris McClure, along with Derek Daly, to bring you all of the action. Right now, the man on the pole, Tommy Byrne, is leading. The man who started 2nd, Juan Manuel Fangio, runs 3rd, then Jan Beekhuis. Those are the top 3 thus far in the event. They've strung out just a little bit on the race course. 4th place belongs to Mike Snow in the gold car. 5th to Calvin Fish in the HFC red car right there, and Jan Beekhuis, the 6th car, or Paul Tracy in 6th position in the blue car. That's been the best battle thus far, Eric.
That's right. Everybody behaving themselves except Paul Tracy. We see Paul just stick 2 wheels on the dirt. Now, this is the aggression that comes out in a young, raw, talented driver, which Paul Tracy is. We just see him try that little bit extra too hard. He has to be careful. He doesn't use the curve there, which is a good sign. He's not quite over the top, but good aggressive driving from Paul Tracy.
Here comes that battle for 4th. It's Snow, Fish, Tracy, and now moving up to join that serial and get involved in it is the winner from Milwaukee, Dave Simpson. Meantime, up in front, the number 3 car, Juan Manuel Fangio, pushing a little bit on Tommy Byrne. It had been separated considerably more than that, the battle for the lead. Byrne is led from the green flag, but Fangio appears ready as he slides through turn number 1 and 2. Appears ready to put the pressure up just a little bit more. And there we go with the battle for 4th again. Snow and Fish. Here comes Fish taking a peek down to the inside, but no place to pass there. That's really not a place you want to make the move, I don't think.
It's really very difficult to pass on these infield sections because the car in front has so much of an advantage on taking up the line that he wants. And you really have to be very, very definite if you want to make an attempt to pass, but it's a very, very risky move in an infield section such as this. Really, the ideal place to pass is down just where they are now at the end of the straight. If you can sneak down the inside of somebody, or as we saw Mike Snow do earlier on to Calvin Fish, into the chicane just after the pits.
They're all maintaining contact and have since the beginning, and now we see smoke, I think, from the Mike Snow car as we look at the long shot down the front straightaway. Just off turn number 9, a little bit of smoke apparently off the back of Mike Snow's car, and that would appear to be the case, though. He keeps on going. He didn't even have time to take a look at the pits this pass through. We'll have to wait to see if he goes in, and he's staying right in it.
That's right, he is staying in it, and that could be a major problem. The driver really won't know that there's anything wrong yet because there's not really enough smoke for him to see in his rear view mirrors. Now, if it is an oil smoke, which it looks very like, Calvin Fish may be at this moment being showered in engine oil, but we'll have to just wait and see how this develops. But Mike Snow definitely seems to have a mechanical problem at the moment.
And it's really a bad spot for Calvin Fish to be caught in. He can't just pull back and get out of the oil shower because Paul Tracy's right there pressing him. He has no room to back up on the track, and the smoke is getting worse on the backside.
That's right. Of course, it can be very dangerous for the cars following, because if it is oil that's being laid down on the track, of course, everybody following now begins to run on a very slick surface. It's hard to know. Now, you see, it is getting worse, so whatever he's done, whatever damage, and we will try and get a report on it later on, whatever damage has been done is, in fact, getting a little bit worse.
It started right after they went over a speed bump there, about turn number 8, that they use just about every time around, but he's staying out with that much smoke coming out, and perhaps accompanied by raw oil. He's a candidate for a black flag, but so far none has been displayed for Snow.
Well, it's interesting you say the speed bump. They do damage to the bottom of these cars, and the oil tank is in that left side pod, so if he did go over a speed bump, it's quite possible this is not an engine problem, but maybe he's put a little hole in the bottom of that oil tank, and hence this oil smoke or oil smear that we now see becoming worse each time.
Calvin Fish wanted to get through him. He wants to get through him as soon as possible and get out of that shower. I believe we had an oil flag displayed out on the backside in turn number 6, and out there, when he gets up to speed and the revs go especially high, it really does spew out the back. That's
right.
Problem.
This will definitely be a black flag situation. I'm sure all the observers now see, particularly on the front straight, just as he comes on here, it gets to its worst. Now, all the observers, Wally Dollarbank will be aware of this. This driver will get a black flag in the very near future. He will have, in fact, we do see the black flag right there now. Mike Snow is now aware of it. He will now have to slow down way into the pits, and his day may be done.
Fixing this water damage will cost $1,200. Could I have prevented it?
You could with new improved Thompson's Water Seal.
This water damage is going to run $750. What would have stopped it?
New improved Thompson's Water Seal. Thompson's now has 50% more active ingredients to protect wood, brick, or concrete from water damage with a lot more waterproofing power.
This time, I'm going to protect my new deck with Thompson's Water Seal. A great defense against repair expense.
As anyone who reads the Wall Street Journal can tell you, it takes money to make money. Specifically, it takes 47 cents a day.
Call 800-372-3000 for this great journal subscription offer. 13 weeks for just $29.75 with a money-back guarantee. 13 weeks, $29.75. Phone 800-372-3000 now for the Wall Street Journal.
Speed. Power. More speed. If it has a motor and goes fast, you'll see it on Speed Week every Thursday night at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN.
Chris McClure along with Derek Daly. Welcome back to Portland International Raceway, the beautiful setting in the Pacific Northwest. ARS Racing. We're in the second quarter of this, the event number 3 of the 1988 season. Walking the point right now still is the man on the pole, Tommy Byrne, followed by the second place qualifier, Juan Manuel Fangio. Just a few moments ago, we had the black flag displayed for the number 21 car, that of Mike Snow, and you can see the reason why in that replay right there. So he's headed toward the pits for at least some repair work. That's the HFC machine at number 8, Calvin Fish, going around. And there's Tommy Byrne and Fangio. It's closed down considerably up front. Fangio in the chicane closes it down under the braking a lot, and then it seems the horsepower belongs to Tommy Byrne on the short straightaways as well as the long.
That's right, and Fangio seems to be very good under braking. He's able to close up onto Tommy Byrne into that chicane each time. Then they get into the infield section, and Tommy just stretches it out a little bit, but it's not as easy as it looks.
And we have one off course. That's the number 6 car of Giovanni Fontanasi, who started on the outside of row number 7 and is off near the chicane. Meantime, standing by in the pits, our first retirement, and Jesse Lasada has Mike Snow.
Chris, I'm down here with Mike Snow in the pits. Mike, what happened to the car? You got black flag.
Well, it looks like we blew a rear sill out of the engine of the back of the motor, causing the car a little bit of oversight. I felt like at the beginning of the race I could have caught third place and maybe run down Tommy and Fangio. But once got an oil leak out the back, I got a lot of oversteer, and I just couldn't keep the rear underneath me.
So it looks like that's it.
That's it for today. For this go after Cleveland.
Thank you.
Disappointing day for Mike Snow, as well as that man, Giovanni Fontanasi, out of Venezuela. 2 retirements, and we have a crash out on the race course. 2 cars have come together, as you see right there, and there's a safety truck already on the scene. I'm not exactly sure what transpired there. That's the number 2 car of Jeff Andretti.
That was a very strange situation because we saw the safety truck almost in the middle of that accident.
And Ted Prappas, the other one involved. I'm not exactly sure what had happened. Fontanasi had just gone off the course in a cloud of dust and gotten out of his car, and suddenly that situation erupts. It's on the backside of the course. There you see the safety truck, and Jeff Andretti trying to get down inside. He comes in contact with the safety truck across in front and hits Prappas. T-boned him as they were going opposite sides of the safety truck, and there are 2 heavily damaged cars. Hopefully, the drivers are all right. We did see Jeff Andretti moving around in the cockpit, and Ted Prappas is out of his machine as well. But
there we see
they're going no further.
There we see Jeff's car. He will obviously take no further part. That was a most unusual incident. We see Jeff sitting down here. Perhaps he has a foot injury, maybe, if he has to sit down like that. But that was a most unusual incident. The safety truck seemed to squeeze Jeff into the wall on that right side, and yet there was another car, Prappas, coming down the left-hand side. So that was a most unusual situation to have the safety truck involved in such an incident.
Well, he definitely took a hard hit. He was squeezed against the wall, then came across in front with that safety truck towering over him. He got it clear of that, but did hit Prappas right in the side with the nose of his car. There you see Prappas walking away under his own power. Apparently both men probably shaken, but otherwise no significant damage, and that's good news. That was a big hit.
Prappas, I'm sure, is wondering what went on here. I was free and clear and passing a safety truck, and suddenly I get T-boned, because he really had nothing to do with this incident at all. Jeff Andretti suddenly appeared sideways in front of a safety truck. I can only think that maybe both drivers decided to pick one each side, and perhaps the safety vehicle thought all cars were going down the left-hand side, while Jeff Andretti, in fact, was squeezed into the wall, and now we have a full yellow situation to try and clean up this mess.
So they'll put the pace car out and gather up the field. Ted Prappas walking away from the scene, and you saw many of the men from the Horton safety team who take care of all the race car drivers in ARS and Indy cars. Here it is again. I've never seen anything like that. Andretti going by on the right side between the truck and the wall. He caught it. Looked like his left rear tire on the side of that truck came right across in front and just walloped Ted Prappas, T-boned him right in the side pod.
I think the important part of this accident to look at it is the very first part of that slow-mo replay. The safety vehicle was in fact on the left side of the road when Jeff Andretti made the commitment to pass on the right. Then the safety vehicle moved across, and this may be just go down to a racing incident, but I think Jeff made the decision just as that safety truck moved to what he thought was probably a safe position, and Jeff was already there because of the speed that he arrived at. So Jeff Andretti, in a very unfortunate situation, caught really nothing by his own doing.
Full course yellow on the course at Portland. We'll be back with the restart after this.
Why does Indy 500 winner Rick Mears race on Goodyear Eagles exclusively? Because of the Goodyear Eagle contact patch and how it responds to the track. And why does Oldsmobile choose Goodyear Eagle street radials for the Indianapolis 500 pace car? A major reason is the Goodyear Eagle contact patch, where the car ultimately responds to the road. Goodyear Eagles, because there really is a difference.
Presenting the winning performance, the winning look, the winning ways of Buick's great American coupe, the new Buick Regal, introducing the totally new Regal Grand Sport with a powerful fuel-injected V6 engine, world-class aerodynamics, each wheel independently suspended to grip the curves, and the stopping power of a disc brake at each wheel. The Regal Grand Sport, the newest member of a very Regal family. Enter the $126,000 Buick Open Sweepstakes at your Buick dealer now.
Back at Portland, still under yellow after one of the most unusual racing incidents you will ever see involving Jeff Andretti and Ted Prappas. Let's go to the pits.
Chris, I'm with Ted Prappas in the pits. Ted, what happened out there?
Well, it was real hard to say, but they had the service vehicle on the course. Really, I don't know why. They weren't going to bring in a car, but Jeff Andretti was the leading of our little pack of 4 cars, and he went to go along the right side, which is really the racing line, and the service vehicle kind of moved over, at least that's what I could see, moved over on him, and he just had nowhere to go, and then he clipped the wall in the service vehicle, and then we all went around the left of the service vehicle, but Jeff came spinning around in front of the truck, and then I had nowhere to go, and I ran into Jeff's car, so... Jeff's all right. I think he's stuck on the other side of the track, so he couldn't get back in here. But, I mean, the cars aren't in the best of shapes, but they're all repairable, and we're all right. So it just, I'm not exactly sure what would happen with the service vehicle, but I think he should have just stayed on the left side of the road as far as I could tell. So I guess that's something they'll have to sort out with each other. But, okay, thank you. No problem.
Thankfully, that man is all right, as is Jeff Andretti, who is not stuck on the far side of the track. We're still under yellow, as you can see, as they warm up the racing tires. And those that are left try to get back into the racing business with Tommy Byrne, the first behind the pace car. Meantime, we can go back to the pits. Jesse Lasada has Jeff.
Chris, we're down in the pits with Jeffrey Andretti. Jeffrey, what happened out there with that truck?
Oh, what happened was coming on off of turn 5, I saw a white flag for a vehicle on the racetrack. I saw the safety vehicle as we were going down the backstretch, and the minute I got up to him, all of a sudden he just pulled out onto the racetrack and came over 2 lanes onto the racetrack right into me. He squeezed me against the outside guardrail, and so I figured I broke real hard so I wouldn't get into the guardrail. And then I thought he was letting me go, and then he came more, and he tagged my rear of my car and spun me right around the front of the safety truck. And at that point, Ted Prappas had T-boned me on the other side.
But you're okay.
I'm fine, thanks.
Thank you.
And that's the good news, of course, always, Derek. They're both all right. One of the stranger things, and I don't know, Jeff went to the right. Is it possible the man didn't see him?
I think there will be a lot of discussion as to how exactly that happened to try and stop it happening again, but it's hard to say when the decision was made for Jeff to go to the right and the service vehicle to go to the right. But thankfully, the machinery can be replaced, and Jeff Andretti, whose career in ARS is not really going exactly as he wanted, and now, today, is another blow to that.
Well, first of all, at Phoenix, he and Michael Chandler get together on a restart, a crash that took those 2 out as well as 3 others, and now this unusual incident. They've got to get it turned around. It's just been really a snake-bit season for young Jeffrey.
That's right, and for Ted Prappas, who's in the other team car international vehicle, his day is over. So now the people at Team Car can at least put all their efforts into supporting Fangio, who's still running a very good second to Tommy Byrne, and we see him just do his final preparation and warm up of the tires, as you said earlier on, prior to the next green flag start.
Coming up to turn number 7 and 8, and then they'll sweep onto the front straightaway, and you can see there on the pace car the lights are out. So really, Tommy Byrne has the field in control. Right behind him, the second-place qualifier Fangio, and then Jan Beekhuis, and then Calvin Fish, Paul Tracy, and here we go. The charge is underway. The revs are up. The acceleration has begun, and there is the green flag once again. You see Fangio look to the outside, and Byrne's all over the racetrack in front of him.
Byrne weaves, trying to break that toe, knows that Fangio is very good under brakes, tries to put him off his stride, and does make it first again into that first chicane.
All of them through the chicane and very safely off the single file restart, and again Byrne pulls away on the straightaway. He's got a little horsepower advantage in this event.
That's right. 3rd place here, Jan Beekhuis. The HFC car of Calvin Fish still 4th, Paul Tracy 5th, and Dave Simpson 6th, and Guido Dacco 7th.
Good run so far for Guido Dacco, and out on the backside, this speed bump they don't use all that much, but later on they do, and we've already seen one car come to grief by going too hard onto a speed bump. That was Michael Snow, as the report is additionally from the pit that indeed he did hit a speed bump, and that caused the damage to his car that got the oil seal gone and forced him from the race. That's a very tricky S right there at the backside, then a long sweeping right-hander onto the front straightaway. Difficult piece of racetrack right there, especially when it gets slippery at Portland, and it has been all weekend, Derek.
Particularly now, because Mike Snow did those 3 laps with a lot of oil, not just smoke, but actually oil pouring from that tank that was ruptured in his car. So now the track is particularly slippery, and these people, such as Dave Simpson right here, have to be very, very careful.
The black car there with the red number, or the orange number 7 on it. Dave Simpson, one of the hottest racers in ARS. When you put together the last 4 events in the series, 2 in 1987, where he had a win, a second, and 2 poles, and this year a 4th and a 1st and a pole position. He's improved dramatically in the last 8 or 9 months of his racing career.
That's right, and this weekend he's been a little bit off color. I don't know why. Sometimes this happens for no logical reason, but for example, Laguna Seca last year, he totally dominated, ran away with the race. This weekend, he's not quite on the same pace as the Tommy Byrnes or the Fangios or even the Paul Tracy's, which he's trying to catch here.
Trying to reel Paul Tracy in, and Tracy in turn trying to reel in Calvin Fish. Simpson does lead the Duration Cup points going into this event with 33. The Duration Company putting up a $100,000 points fund for distribution at the end of the year. The points winner will get $20,000, and the payoffs behind that not so bad. Second, $14,000, third is $12,000, and fourth is $10,000. More in a moment.
If you've been using this to take care of vinyl, leather, and rubber, you're going to like new vinyl a whole lot more, because it goes on easier, lasts longer, and protects better. Watch. We applied this to one of the front seats. Now, as instructed, we'll wait. While waiting, we'll wipe new vinyl on the dashboard, door panels, the tires, and now the other seat. New vinyl dries in seconds. There's no waiting, no rubbing, no buffing. But with the other product, there's more work. You have to go back to wipe off the excess wetness. Now, to prove new vinyl lasts longer, we applied both products to this car's vinyl top. And look, after 52 car washes, only the new vinyl side still shines like new. New vinyl is not just for cars. Use it on furniture all around the house. So if you've been using this, try new vinyl. We guarantee you'll like it better or your money back.
New vinyl at Kmart, Woolworth, Costco, True Value, Ace, Revco, Rite Aid, Eckerd, Walgreens, and other leading stores.
July is a total sports celebration on ESPN. Great golf with the British Open and U.S. Women's Open. Race Day America featuring the Grand Prix of France, plus live IMSA and IndyCar excitement. July serves up a pivotal Davis Cup showdown. Baseball's AAA All-Star Game and Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, indoor football's Arena Bowl 88, and Wednesday night PBA Tour action. All in July on ESPN.
Back at Portland International Raceway in the mid-part of the ARS event number 3 of the 1988 season. The leader is the man on the pole. He's led from the start, Tommy Byrne, followed by Juan Manuel Fangio, who's had intermittent pressure on the leader. Third place belongs to Jan Beekhuis. Fourth to Calvin Fish. 1 through 4 is the way they qualified. Fifth place now belongs to Paul Tracy, and sixth, the number 7 car, that of Dave Simpson. So far, a good run up front and a steady drive by Tommy Byrne, which is really to be expected out on the road courses. And also a good drive so far by Brian Ongaias, that fellow right there from Long Beach, California. Didn't have so much luck on the ovals, a little twitchy right there, but showing pretty well in Portland as he also gets used to new machinery and increased horsepower, Derek Daly.
That's right, and of course this is the first look we've had at another famous name in this race. Danny Ongaias, very well known to all racing fans in America for his exploits in IndyCar racing. Danny Ongaias himself doesn't have a full-time ride this year. In fact, we haven't seen him compete at Indy this year. But Brian Ongaias now, I suppose, feels Danny's thoughts on how his son will now progress with his racing career.
And thrusting a little bit of variety into his career earlier than his daddy did, who started as exclusively a drag racer.
We saw some aggressive driving from Brian. That's what he needs to keep up for his career to progress as he would wish. And we watch Tommy Byrne here again go through the infield, just out of turn 4, now into turn 5. and exiting through turn 6 onto this long backstretch.
Beautiful racing day at Portland, and in my memory, having traveled to Portland on several occasions over the last few years to see the Indy cars run in their annual visit to the Rose Festival, shadow of Mount Hood, beautiful area. And the weather has just cooperated magnificently, and again this weekend. It really has turned into a huge community event and quite a showpiece for all the open-wheel single-seaters in the Pacific Northwest, where before there wasn't much of an audience.
Well, that's right, and to be part of the Rose Festival is just so good to come into such an atmosphere. It reminds me when I come here very much of Ireland, because the ground is so green, it's so lush, it's really so lovely, and we've had fantastic weather here all weekend. And it really is a pleasure just to come here to Portland to race.
Tommy Byrne going into turn number 1, extending by a couple of car lengths per lap. I guess that's about a 10th per lap or so. His lead over Juan Manuel Fangio, working very well through the turn right there. You really have to have a setup that allows you a certain amount of wheel slide on this race course, I think, to maximize your effect in the turns, Derek.
That's right. Of course, these cars are flat bottom. What I mean by flat bottom cars is the Indy cars have tunnels down the side which generate tremendous amounts of downforce. These cars only get downforce from the front and rear wings, which really is a better situation, I think, for racing. But therefore, these cars slide a little bit more. The driver may have to do a little bit more work, which I think really is the best situation to be in.
But maybe not as much as they have as we've watched these last few turns. We saw Beekhuis really get into a slide a moment ago, and there Calvin Fish. That may be a bit too much. This thing may be getting very, very slippery as the heat builds through the day.
That's right. This is the front stretch. I'll just try and take you around a little, a lap if I can, if we can get the cameras to stay on the full circuit here. This is about 160 miles an hour that they do down this front stretch into a third gear chicane, which is a very fast flick left and right, hard on the power again into this third gear right-hander. They did pick fourth gear just before they enter there, but this is a long double apex right-hander. Another right-hand corner here, which is turn 3, still staying in third gear. The cars then accelerate up this short little stretch on the brakes. Now they turn left. Again, a third gear corner. Another small stretch of power along this short run here on the brakes. Again, a third gear corner, a right-hand turn, leading onto the longest back straight on the Portland straightaway here, which is about 170 miles an hour. That little kink here left is flat. Up through the gearbox, pick 5th gear just about here. And then look at your gauges. Get over to the racing line, down through the last left and right flick, which leads back onto the front stretch here, which again we see Tommy Byrne still maintaining his lead over Juan Manuel Fangio. In fact, Jan Beekhuis has now closed that gap, and Calvin Fish. So we really have a very good close group here in the top 4 at the moment.
And we see there Dave Simpson moving up on Paul Tracy, trying to battle him for position in turn number 1. That's a fight for 5th spot if it really becomes a fight. So far, Simpson has maintained contact, but not really gotten right up close that we've seen. Closes down there a little bit under braking. I'll tell you, that last front straightaway shot we had, as we see that battle continue, it looked to me like Tommy Byrne was fighting for traction into the chicane as much as anybody in the field. The rest of them a little bit smoother, it appeared last pass. Maybe we'll take a look at that when they come around the next time. Dave Simpson right there, as we have one of the cars slowing, and we'll have to wait and see. I think that's the 33 car of Steve Barkley with his hand in the air, the 43-year-old retired construction man out of Orange, California. Gets the traffic cleared, and off he goes very safely onto the grass and out of harm's way. They don't even really need a local yellow. Meantime, let's go for this ARS Track Fact, brought to you by Quaker State. Quaker State with QSX. Competitors are shot with Goodyear Eagle racing tires, the same supplier, of course, that handles the Indy cars. They are radial tires, and they provide a good deal of consistency, again, following the lead of the Indy cars. And they have the same amount of tread as the bigger machines in the other series, the CART IndyCar PPG series, in that the front tires, the smaller of the two, put 10 inches of rubber wide on the track, and the rear tires have 14 inches. They do use, in the races, a relatively hard rubber compound because they can't afford pit stops and tire changes. Do they hold up? In practice, in Phoenix, over the winter, Calvin Fish got 400 miles out of one set of tires.
Quaker State with QSX. How do you make a motor oil this good? You test it in the lab. You test it under the hood. You test it on the track.
Quaker State quality. We don't just talk about it, we live by it.
The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
It's the Quaker State Porsche Sweepstakes and Rebate, and everybody wins. Mail in the rebate by August 5th, and you'll have $360 per case in your pocket, and maybe a Porsche in your garage.
Some bankers don't like to do business over the phone.
You got it.
No, you get it. At Household Finance, we do.
Not my turn.
Yes, it is.
It's not.
It's two.
Not.
Two.
Not.
Two. HFC can approve credit lines up to $25,000 over the phone in just one day.
Why didn't you get it? It's not my turn.
Whose turn is it?
Sid's.
It's not.
Is two.
Not. Two. Not.
Two.
So just call for a better than a bank personal credit line.
The road is filled with all kinds of surprises and hazards.
Hey!
That's why if you want a smooth, comfortable ride...
Boy, do I need a smooth, comfortable ride.
Get a set of Monroe Gasmatic shocks or struts. They'll give you the best ride ever, guaranteed. They're so good...
Hey, great ride.
They'll even help you handle the curve. No wonder America rides Monroe shocks and struts.
Oh, yeah.
Back at Portland International Raceway, the ARS stop continues with the man walking the point, Tommy Byrne. He's led from the green flag, threatening to go wire to wire for his first victory of 1988. He's followed by Juan Manuel Fangio in the second position. Beekhuis and Fish continue to maintain third and fourth. Paul Tracy up from 8th position on the starting grid to 5th in the race, and 6th place belongs to Dave Simpson, who's looking for 2 wins in a row if he can put something together in the late going of the event. On the front straightaway, a good duel right there, the number 5 machine of Guido Dacco and Brian Ongaias. This is a great duel for the 8th position in the race at the moment.
It's amazing how each little group of drivers have their own separate battles. This is as hot a battle between these two drivers as the battle between Tommy Byrne and Fangio. Brian Ongaias, all he sees is that he has to get by Guido Dacco. So this battle, from the driver's point of view, they may as well be leading the race. The most important thing is that one stays in the lead or the other gets in front of the yellow car.
Of course, there's a points fund and a $48,000 purse per event in 1988 for the ARS runners. Those things are important. Personal pride is important, but also, Derek, the series is designed as a stepping stone, a little bit more horsepower than the Super V's had, and between Super V and the Indy cars, it's supposed to be a training ground, and what we saw there a moment ago between Dacco and Ongaias is a big part of the exercise. Racing together, racing in traffic, in competition.
The old saying goes, you cannot buy experience. The only way you get it is wheel-to-wheel racing. So whether it's Tommy Byrne in first place, or Fangio in second, or Dacco and Ongaias back in 7th or 8th position, experience is what's being gained by the experienced drivers and the new drivers, which is exactly what the HFC series is all about.
Both the front runners, Tommy Byrne and Fangio, who we see there sliding heavily through those turns on the infield part of the course. Now they're in the S again, and we'll see how that holds up. They're both fighting their handling a little bit. Of course, they're getting deep into the race on the original and only scheduled set of tires. We saw in that quick fact a few moments ago that in practice at Phoenix, they had gotten 400 miles out of a set of race tires. Of course, to the consumer, that doesn't sound like much at all, but it's amazing when you consider the beating they take on a racetrack, these pieces of equipment.
Beating just like you see there. Fangio using all the road and the curbs, using everything he has to try and catch Tommy Byrne as we go into the latter part of this race. We're back now, again, with the same battle. As it rages, as it has done for the last couple of laps, Dacco still leads into the chicane, but Brian Ongaias desperately wants to find a way past. He wants that position.
He really does, and he took a long peek on the front straightaway. Sometimes they take that long peek just to remind the man in front of them that they're there, or to test something that they might be planning later on. Very loose right there was Ongaias as he tried to close it down in the turn. He's trying to get right up under the wing. Maybe he'll try something on the back straight. We'll have to wait and see as they get into that long, sweeping, bending right-hander coming up just shortly. A little wider on that turn, Ongaias. Is his setup looser? don't know, but he's sliding a lot as he's attacking Daco in that battle for position on the racetrack. This could be where he'll make a try.
He's not quite close enough. He really needs to be a little bit more in the draft to try and get down into the braking area. Not necessarily to pass, but to get inside to take the line of the corner away. That's really all he needs. So this battle rages on. Brian Ongais still trying to take the position away. Guido Daco. We'll be back.
If you love cars, you'll love Auto Week, the news weekly of motoring. Every week, Auto Week puts you inside the world's most exciting cars. GTs, sports sedans, collector cars, 4x4s, front drivers. Auto Week makes you an insider with industry news, personality profiles, old cars, columnists, the best classified anywhere. And nobody covers racing like Auto Week. You get the fastest coverage of Formula One, sports cars, stockers, Indy cars. It's all in Auto Week, the news weekly of motoring every week. Call 1-800-554-3000 to get a full year of Auto Week at our special discount price. Just $17.25 for 52 issues, only 33 cents a week. You'll save 74% off the newsstand price. Call 1-800-554-3000. Let Auto Week put you in the driver's seat every week.
The big Q stands for quality. In Quaker State's 11,000 RPM Porsche, in Ricky Rudd's high-torque Buick, clean-running Quaker State with QSX gives them unbeatable protection from wear and tear.
And it's the same Quaker State you buy right off the shelf.
Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
It's the Quaker State Porsche Sweepstakes and Rebate, and everybody wins. Mail in the rebate by August 5th, and you'll have $360 per case in your pocket, and maybe a Porsche in your garage.
Guido Daco and Brian Ongais continue their battle, though it's a little bit more separated than when we last left you. Now it closes down out in the back once again. Ongais through the tight portions, able to close it down, but on the straightaways where passing really might be the possibility, Derek, in this household finance-sponsored ARS event at Portland, he hasn't been able to stay close enough to set it up on the straights.
He's definitely seems to be driving harder, to my mind. He's using more of the road. His car gets out of line more, but he doesn't seem to have the little bit of punch, the extra punch he needs to make it move down the straight, which really is the only realistic place that he's going to make a pass.
Meantime, up front, the white car, that's Tommy Byrne and Fangio, the man that's been chasing throughout the event, all ready to continue our tire theme just a minute, Derek. Already this weekend for winning the pole, Byrne has picked up a free set of racing tires from the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, and if he wins the event, every winner in 1988 and every pole man in 1988 gets a free set of tires, so he can help himself out there by getting 2 full sets of rubber from Goodyear for his effort this weekend in Portland. There are the 3rd and 4th place runners at the moment. Jan Beekhuis, the 31 car, and the HFC-sponsored Calvin Fish, the team of Molly Shearson, the young lady, daughter of Doug Shearson, an IndyCar owner. Good battle that's been going on that way throughout the event as well. It's been fairly static, although there have been moments when the pressure has been up from all of the competitors trying to climb up the field. Very difficult to do on this racing day.
These two drivers will know each other very well because both raced in England many times, and I do believe together. Jan Beekhuis, I remember his name in Formula Ford in England when he was over, I do believe, as part of the Jim Russell racing school team. But Jan Beekhuis, very experienced now, having probably one of his better days in the ARS series.
Tommy Byrne is a veteran as well, and you know him from days gone by. He is used to this kind of pressure. He's not the kind of fellow that's going to wilt under it, I don't think. Fangio behind him, trying perhaps to get him to make a mistake, waiting for a mistake, but it's unlikely to come from Tommy Byrne.
That's right. Tommy, of course, from my hometown of Ireland, the Emerald Isle, the Republic. I've known about his career right from day one. Raced in the same home track, Mondello Park, as I cut my teeth on. Made it all the way up to Formula One, in fact. In fact, Tommy succeeded me in the Theodore Formula One team for several races, and then went back to Formula Ford, believe it or not, for the Van Diemen team here in America, and is now with Opar Racing. And I would think Tommy probably believes that the Opar Racing team may be the most professional team that he has raced with. Himself and Didier Thays were really the front runners all through last year in the ARS series. They've missed some races this year, particularly Milwaukee. His owner, Bill Boynton, is not a major oval track fan, and I really think that if he wins today, it will bode well for Tommy for the rest of the year, because this may not be as secure a ride as Tommy wants, because there was a major expenditure last year on testing and racing, etc. They were very successful, but didn't manage to take the title away from True Sports. So Tommy Byrne needs almost to win this race to secure a more solid program for himself for the rest of the year.
I'll tell you what, Fangio is continuing to stay right in his mirrors and put the pressure up, and it seems to me the method of attack on all of these turns, as we saw them go through the infield part of the course, they are speeding it up and fighting it out down to the wire. Tommy Byrne holding off Juan Manuel Fangio from the beginning, but with just a few laps to go, this issue is far from settled.
If you're like me, you want your engine to perform. You want it to run clean, and you don't want sludge. That's why you and I both need Quaker State with QSX. No other oil runs cleaner or fights sludge better. And the Quaker State I use in my car is the same oil you can buy right off the shelf for your car.
Quaker State. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
It's the Quaker State Porsche Sweepstakes and Rebate, and everybody wins. Mail in the rebate by August 5th, and you'll have $360 per case in your pocket and maybe a Porsche in your garage.
A tradition of horsepower. For the second consecutive year, Budweiser racing teams captured 3 national championships. Bobby Rahal in the Bud Indy car. Kenny Bernstein in the Budweiser King. And Jim Kropfeld in Miss Budweiser. It's a tradition of horsepower that keeps Budweiser ahead of the pack. Racing fans,
in the closing laps at Portland, this is Chris McClure along with Derek Daly. There you see the American Racing Series leader, Tommy Byrne, event number 3 of 1988. He's been under pressure throughout from Juan Manuel Fangio II. Fangio's first race of 1988. Tommy Byrne second, but at Phoenix, he only managed 4 laps of action, Derek Daly, and then skipped Milwaukee. So really, he's been out of the seat a good long time. There's 4th place. That is Calvin Fish. Jan Beekhuis is in 3rd place. That man right there looking to force his way back into the points chase for 1988 and get the season restarted.
That's right. He is really under a lot of pressure. To be in the lead like that, not only do you have to keep your nose clean, but you really must protect your lead at all times. If he makes the slightest mistake, runs wide on a turn, Fangio will be through and will take this race right out of Tommy Byrne's pocket. So Tommy Byrne is really under intense pressure now in the closing laps, and Fangio again closes up under braking into this first chicane.
Into the chicane they slide as the tires stay hot. Fangio really hard on the speed bump that time. He's been on it all day, but that looked a little tough as he maybe took it just a little bit wide.
That's right. He's using everything he has. Remember, this is Brad Murphy's car. We see Fangio slides through that right-hander, 3rd gear right-hander all the time, really using everything he has, making the best of this golden opportunity presented to him by Brad Murphy and one of the most professional teams in ARS racing, Team Car International from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Of course, this year, CART has taken over the sanctioning of the ARS series, and their personnel on hand at Portland for the IndyCar race, also handling the flagging and the safety crews and everything else. And that has really, I think, helped the series, not only from a safety standpoint and a legitimacy standpoint, but given it a boost because the people in it believe that CART now believes in them.
That's right. Just from a driver's point of view, we saw Tommy Byrne and Fangio come through the chicane the last time, all over the curve. So even as we saw the white flag indicating the last lap, these drivers are using all the road and the curve, as we just see Fangio use it there again.
One more time around, and it looked like Calvin Fish there in the picture, slowing dramatically with less than a lap, just over a lap to go for him. So it's going away for Calvin Fish, running in 4th position. There is that ongoing, that raging battle between Guido Dacco and Brian Angayas. Angayas looks to the left-hand side, coming down to the chicane. Nothing is there. He has not been able to get through. Hard over the speed bumps in the chicane. Both of the men, a good battle there, and the battle up front continues to rage as Fangio, in the last lap, trying to chase down Tommy Byrne, coming up to turn 7 and 8. There will be a lot of slide here. Almost on the grass is Fangio. Right up under the wing he goes. Into turn number 8 they are. Fangio will not give it up, and Byrne not making a mistake in front. One more straightaway to go. They straighten it out. And it is Tommy Byrne holding off Fangio, dipping down to driver's right. He'll go under the checkered flag, a car length in front of Juan Manuel Fangio. A great finish and a great battle to the end between those two men at Portland.
Again, we saw Byrne. He weaves down the straight, pulled to the right, way out of the racing line, trying to break the toe. Fangio went with him all the way and just missed, winning by the length of the car.
Fangio pulls up alongside, a wave, a thumbs up to his nemesis of just a moment ago, Mr. Byrne. Then he pulls away and allows the clear slow-down lap for the race leader, Tommy Byrne, picking up his first big success of the 1988 season after a very slow and disappointing start at Phoenix and skipping altogether the race at Milwaukee. And for the weekend, he led this wire to wire, picks up 1 point for leading the most laps, 1 point for the pole, and 20 for the victory. Now with 22 points, and just like that, overnight, in about an hour's work, he's in the points chase for that Duration Cup $100,000 points purse at the end of the year.
I think Tommy will be most pleased with having been out of the seat really for so long to come back and to win this under such intense pressure.
And this is the battle of Angayas and Daco, still fighting it out in their final lap just a few moments ago, out on turn number 5 and 6, and Angayas got all out of shape right there, trying to chase him down and could not gain the spot. Tommy Byrne the winner, Fangio second, then Beekhuis and Tracy.
Why does Indy 500 winner Rick Mears race on Goodyear Eagles exclusively? Because of the Goodyear Eagle contact patch and how it responds to the track. And why does Oldsmobile choose Goodyear Eagle street radials for the Indianapolis 500 pace car? A major reason is the Goodyear Eagle contact patch, where the car ultimately responds to the road. Goodyear Eagles, because there really is a difference.
A bank's home equity credit line is often less than you need.
Good news, Mr. Moore.
Can we call you Les?
Call me Les.
We've approved your credit line, Liz.
Oh, I need more.
There's no more, Les.
No more.
Is that true?
Yes, it is, Les.
More.
Les.
At Household Finance, you'll get more of your home's value, up to 15% more than many banks offer.
You know what they say, Liz?
Yes.
Less is more.
Liz.
Call for a better-than-a-bank home equity credit line and get more.
The Household Finance Corporation American Racing Series has its third winner of 1988 in 3 events. A good race, Derek Daly.
Indeed, Tommy vacates his office for the day, a good day's work. Just being congratulated there by his jubilant owner, Bill Boynton, who puts this team together for Tommy. Now taking off his helmet, we see Fangio, who couldn't quite make it into the number 1 spot, come and, yes, congratulate Tommy. Everybody had a good day.
Third career victory for that man. He picks up $19,500 for the effort. Let's go to the winner's circle.
Chris, we're with the winner in the pits, Tommy Byrne. Tommy, that was a great race, and you and Juan Manuel Fangio just ran away from everybody.
Yeah, well, first of all, I have to dedicate this race to my boss's wife, Susie, because she's at home looking after a sick auntie. But, yeah, he didn't leave it easy for me.
Yeah, you held him off there in the last turn.
Yeah, you know, it's just when somebody's not close behind, it puts a lot of pressure on, and it's very slippy out there today, so, you know, it's easy to push and push from behind. It was very hard. It wasn't an easy win.
Tommy, thank you and congratulations.
I'd like to thank the guys here for giving me a great call. I'd like to thank my boss, Bill Boynton. Thank you.
Thank you.
Round 3 of the new 1988 HFC ARS season is now history at the road course in Portland, with the final order of finish this way. The Duration Cup points as a result of that stand this way, headed to round number 4 in a couple of weeks' time in Cleveland, Ohio at Burke Lakefront Airport, and we'll be there to bring all the action to you. Until then, on behalf of our analyst for the day, Derek Daly, this is Chris McClure. Thank you for being with us. Have a nice day.